Hey, welcome back. And today I'm going to take some advice from a couple of viewers. One is Doppeldinger. He suggested that in my water tank and my holding tank I should use the same thing I did for my water pickup on the tanks, is get a couple of elbows and I'll cut those down and I'll put them on my drain side, so when I open the valve it'll actually suck out the bottom of the tank. Right now when I drain the holding tank I still have about an inch of water left in the tank, so by installing the fitting in the bottom, that's just going to suck that out really well, so that'll drain the tanks, and I'll do the same thing on the fresh water tank. So thanks for that tip. The second tip is from Alan, and I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name, so forgive me. B-U-Y-C-K. So I'm not sure if that's Buck, or I'm not even going to try. So Alan, thank you for this one. He suggested that on my fresh water tank, that on my fill side hose on my line, I should install a shutoff valve. I think that's a very good idea. Two reasons. One, I can take the valve and I can shut it off, go outside, turn my water on, come inside, turn the valve on, and I can watch the tank fill up and turn it on when the tank is full. Two, another good reason for that is the reason that the water leaked around the lid when I was testing it out is because the city line has a lot of pressure. So either I get a water regulator and put on the outside of the tank so it doesn't want to blow the lid off, which I may do, but I think in the meantime the valve is going to work just great. Now, thanks Alan for that tip. That's going to come in very handy. So I have two valves that I purchased, and because I wasn't sure which one I'd like to go with. Now this one has a couple of barbs on each end. This one only has a single barb, but I do like this valve better. I'm not sure whether or not to trust this one. I don't know. I'm going to start with this one, and this is the valve that we're going to put on our fill line, and I'll turn that off, turn the water on outside, turn it on, fill it up, turn it off when it gets full, and disconnect the line outside, and we'll call that good. So that is what we're going to do today, is install our fittings, voila, on our drain side on our tanks, and then we will install the valve on the fill line. Then we will test it out. We'll hook the line up and come in here, turn the valve off, go out, turn the water on, come back in and turn the valve on, watch it fill up, turn it off when it gets full, and I don't expect any leaks out of this one. So we'll do that, and then we'll run the pump, drain the tanks, and see how well everything works out. Cool. Stay tuned. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my tape measure, dip down in the tank, go right at the bottom of the tank, and measure to the center of my bulkhead fitting. Then I can come back, take my elbow, and get a rough estimate about where I want to cut this, which I think is going to be about right here. Let me make sure. Right there. Yes. So I'll leave about 2 barbs sticking down on the bottom, and then I'll cut that with a bandsaw and bevel that edge on my sander, come in and test fit it, and with any luck we're only that far from the bottom. Alright, let's do it. Alright, so that's about how I whittled this down, and we are just barely from the bottom, so you can see the difference between two, what I've taken off. And now I'll install that, and I should be about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom of the tank, and that's just going to work out fine, so when the tank goes to drain, that will slurp it right from the bottom. So now we have the pickup and we have the drain, and both of them are just
just a scotch off the bottom. So with the pickup, we'll be able to suck as much water off the bottom as we can, and with the drain, we will be able to drain as much water as we can. That way we don't have much water left in there. Alright, good deal. And we'll also do the same with the holding tank, and we'll cut that fitting, put that in, and then we will work on installing our valve. And so we have the fitting in our holding tank. Alright, so that should work like a dream. If not, we'll take them out, but I think that's going to work great. Now on to the valves. Okay, so we are going to install our valve here somewhere, and I've got a little marker so I know where to cut my line. So I think it's going to go probably about right there. So my first cut here, my second cut here. Alright, we'll take our cutters, we'll cut out this section, we'll install our clamps, and then we'll slide our fitting in, our valve, and then put our clamps on, and we'll give it a test. Hopefully that works. Well, with a little persuasion, that went on. The shorter these hoses get, harder it is to get these fittings in here and do it without trying to break something. So anyway, we now have our valve in here, and that's on and off. So to test it out, now what we need to do is connect the hose outside, turn the water on, then come in here and turn the valve on, wait till it overflows a little bit, turn it off, and make sure we don't leak around the lid, and hopefully it doesn't pressurize it that much. So that's what we'll do. Okay, so our valve is ready, and I'm going to go out and turn the hose on, and hopefully we don't see anything spew out of here, and then we'll crack this valve and fill up our tank. Okay, so we have water coming into the valve, and I don't see any leaks, so let's crack it. There you go. Awesome. Now what we'll do is we'll let it fill until it comes out the overflow, and then I'll just shut it off, and hopefully we won't have any water leaks around our lid. Alright, we're about half full. Remember, I just want to see a little trickle through here before I shut that valve off. There we go. So I got some water flowing through here. I could fill it up just a little bit more. Well, now that I'm satisfied that there's no leaks, fittings are in, valve is in, I filled the tank, and now I'm going to run the faucet, fill the holding tank up, and then I'll drain it and see how much of that water slurps out of there. Like I said, before I install that fitting, I was having a good inch of water laying in the bottom, so with that fitting in there, we'll see how much water we can get out. Alright, well, you can see our water line here, so we're just going to go ahead and fill this tank up, and I think for grins and giggles I'm going to time it, see how long it takes to fill that up, and then we'll pull the drain. So we're getting close to the bottom of the tank there. It's draining out pretty good. There's coming out there behind the fridge. Alright, I just want to make sure that it sucks all the water out that it can. Well, I think I'm happy to report that
drain fitting worked like a charm. Sucked that water right out of there, it did. Cool. Now to button things up. So, now that we have that task completed, I have a list that I made that I'm going to use. I made a list of all the things that I need to get done in order to have the trailer ready. So I think my next task now is to remove this valance and go ahead and install the curtain here on the side. And the other day I came out and touched up the curtains that are already in here. They were kind of loose and sagging and stuff, so I went ahead and tightened those up. So that tomorrow will be my next task. And then we've got some trim work that we need to get done and before we move on. And I'm also searching for an inverter. So I bought a converter that I'll be installing in here, and that will help charge the battery, so at night or during the winter or on cloudy days when I'm plugged in, I'll still be able to have plenty of power. And then with the inverter, I'll be able to power the refrigerator and microwave. We'll get this totally self-contained here shortly. And who knows, this might be a prepper mobile. So, alright, so we've got the valve installed, and we've got our fittings in the tank installed, and now we'll start doing some touch-ups. So I do have an extensive list, but they are short items, so that's that. Alright, thanks for sticking it out, watching this boring video, and staying tuned.